What's up, YouTube? So today I'm gonna show you guys my home gym setup. I built this in my garage, very proud of it. A couple weeks ago I purchased this cold plunge on Amazon. I actually got a really good deal on it. It was about 150 bucks. Comparable cold plunges to this go for like $800, $900, ridiculously expensive, but this one just as good. 150 bucks on Amazon. I really like it. The only thing is I did not purchase a chiller because chillers are expensive. And for my previous cold plunge, I had an above ground pool filter, just to keep the water clean. I would put ice in it regularly, so I avoided the need for purchasing a chiller. But today I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to connect the above ground pool filter to these stainless steel water inlet and outlet for the water to go through the filter and keep it nice and clean. The above ground pool filters that you buy on Amazon or at Walmart, whatever, they come with these plastic spa hoses, and they do not hook up to these stainless steel fittings. So I purchased a bunch of fittings so I can hook it up, and I'm gonna show you guys how I'm gonna do that. So here's my above ground pool filter. I got the tubing from Home Depot. I purchased all these stainless steel fittings on Amazon. They're 304 half-inch fittings that will connect to the cold plunge. As you can see inside the cold plunge, it says right there, so I can focus, half-inch, 150 thread, 304. So I went ahead and looked up on Amazon 304 half-inch stainless steel fittings, and I got everything I need. I got a ball valve, I got a T-fitting, and I'm gonna show you guys how I'm gonna connect that. First thing I'm gonna do is connect this hose right here, braided vinyl hose. I went ahead and put in the first fitting onto the hose, and this is actually a fitting I got online. Let's see here if I can focus. So it's 1 1/4 to 3/4 inch. Okay, so what you're gonna do is put that fitting into your 1 1/4 inch braided vinyl hose, and that's what's gonna go connected to your above ground pool filter. And then from there, we're gonna connect this 3/4 inch braided vinyl hose to all the fittings. So I'll show you guys how I'm gonna do that. So I got my barb fitting connected to my braided vinyl hose. If you have trouble putting this fitting into this hose, you might have to heat it up a little bit. What I did was I put it in some hot water for a little bit and kind of loosened up the hose a little bit for the fitting to slide right in. So that's what I did. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna connect the other end of this hose to our above ground pool filter. What you wanna make sure is that this O-ring does not come out of place when you kind of twist this in there. If this O-ring moves out of place, you might have to back it out and just jimmy it in there until it goes in smoothly. And once that's done, it's gonna look like this, and then you'll be able to connect your 3/4 inch braided vinyl hose to this end, and that hose is what's gonna connect to all the stainless steel fittings here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, so this is what it's gonna look like. I managed to get the hose in there without removing the O-ring from its place, and I added a hose clamp to it to ensure that I have a leak-free connection. So the next step is gonna be connecting all of my stainless steel fittings to my cold plunge, and I'll show you guys the order to put those in. So the first fitting you wanna install is your 90-degree elbow on the water inlet. You could skip this and go straight to the barb, but since it's on the top, you kind of want it to, you want the hose to be angled downwards. Otherwise, it's gonna be sticking out a lot. So this way, instead of the hose coming out like this, it's gonna go straight down, which is, in my opinion, a little better, in terms of flow, and aesthetically looks better. So I'm gonna go ahead and install that right now. Got my 1/2 inch by 150 thread MPT 304 stainless steel elbow attached to a 1/2 inch MPT stainless steel barb fitting that goes from 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch. So that 3/4 inch is what's gonna hook up to the 3/4 inch vinyl tubing that's gonna hook up to that 3/4 inch barb on the filter. So I'm gonna go ahead and install that real quick. So this is what it should look like once it's installed. Try not to over tighten. And let's move on to the next step. I'm gonna hook up the bottom water outlet now. So on the water outlet, I'm gonna hook up this ball valve to a T-fitting. And the reason why I got a T-fitting was because I want a port to be able to drain the cold plunge when it's time to change the water. So you could either do ball valve and then T-fitting, or you could do T-fitting, ball valve, and then another ball valve on this side. So remember, 1/2 inch 304 stainless steel, 1/2 inch 304 stainless steel. Try to keep it all the same. MPT works good for this application, and I'm gonna go ahead and install that, and I'll show you what it looks like once it's done. So this is what it will look like once it's all hooked up. Successfully hooked up a above ground pool filter to your cold plunge. Took a little ingenuity to figure it all out. So I had to get some hose clamps, to ensure we have no leaks. Make sure your thread tape, your plumber's tape is on all your fittings, on all your threads. Don't over tighten, and we'll put in our filter. Hopefully this works. We'll find out. So yeah, we'll see. Moment of truth. So this is what it's gonna look like. I try to get the ball valves to be, lined up perfectly, but that's where the thread ends. So it's gonna look a little funky, but you want it as tight as possible so you don't get any leaks. Either way, it still works. I can still turn the valve. So this will cause the water to go into the pump. I'll have this one off so it doesn't drain, but when I want to drain it, I'll open it. So this is what it's gonna look like. Now all we gotta do is connect the vinyl tube hoses from this barb and this barb to our pump, and we should be ready to put some water in it. So I hooked everything up like I was showing you guys to this pump, and it took a dump. Piece of crap filter from Walmart. This one actually has terrible reviews. Everyone says this pump sucks, it stops working after a while, and that's exactly what happened to me. So I ended up having to order a new one on Amazon. This is an Intex above ground pool filter. It was about 77 bucks. It was like 80 bucks around there with taxes and everything. Hooked it up to all the same tubing. fittings and everything that I showed you guys previously. It worked great. Everything is working great. There's no leaks. Everything's nice and tight. I'll go ahead and show you guys. Turn it on. It's actually pretty quiet, doesn't make a lot of noise, obviously besides the water splashing, but I actually like that. It sounds like I have my own water fountain, little water feature in my gym. Pretty cool. Keeps the water nice and clean. I got this little body oil sponge to absorb any body oils that come off your skin. And then I got this thermometer, little floaty thermometer / timer. You could press a timer and it'll start counting down, you know, how long you've been in there, which is a feature I really like. And you just press the button to stop the timer. And it just floats, you know, floats in there. Shows you the temperature of the water. You can get in the water with that in there and it's, you know, it's safe, it's completely waterproof. And yeah, I love this setup. You know, I do have to put ice in it frequently, which kind of sucks, but I can't afford $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 chiller that they sell on the internet. But I do have a freezer, so I fill this up with bags of ice. I actually have these ice molds that I make ice out of. And I got some more ice molds on Amazon, you know, Tupperware. These bags suck. They rip after like 4 uses. I had 3 of them and 2 of them already took a dump. And then I got these circular like ball shaped ice molds on Amazon. I just got those today, so I'm gonna test them out, see how much ice they make, you know. So I fill up these molds, these ones, plus that. You know, it gets me down to like 50 something degrees, which is not bad. Obviously colder would be better. If I want it colder, I just have to go buy more ice. But project successful. So remember, get your ball valve fittings, T-fitting. I added an extra ball valve fitting so I can drain the water once it's dirty without having to unplug any of the hoses. And yeah, your vinyl braided tubing, barb fitting, and then a 90, you know, so it can angle the hose downward and not like stick out. You know, you don't want it to stick out. Then it'll probably start leaking on you. So yeah, this is my setup and I love it. Looks great.